Hello Motorrad World fans, and welcome to this Talking MotoGP episode where we're going to take a look at the second team that has launched their new liveries and their new campaign for the 2023 season. First of all, I hope you're a little bit warmer wherever you are around the world than I am, because it is freezing cold here in the UK and my South African blood is still getting acclimatized to it. So I hope you're all keeping well out there and staying nice and safe and healthy. And a bit warmer than what I am. So, Team Gresini Ducati are the second team that have launched their 2023 campaigns. And before we dive into the riders, the livery, the team and everything, I would just like to give a round of applause, and a standing round of applause. I don't want to stand because I'll go out the shot. To the team owner, Nadia Padovani. And why I say this is, sadly, we know Gresini is a household name in the MotoGP paddock. Remember with Marco Simoncelli on the Gresini Honda, Alvaro Bautista, he really just has, the Gresini name has put so much into the sport from the days where Fausto was racing to running the teams, and they've just been there every single year, pouring resources, pouring money, getting young talents, just been this household name in the MotoGP paddock. And sadly, a couple of years when we lost the late great Fausto Gresini, Nadia could have easily just packed it all up. She could have just said, well, I'm going to take the money and go, live on a beach and, take the easy life. And she never. She decided to carry on the legacy of Fausto Gresini and carry on going racing. And it was a big change for them in 2022. Remember, they were involved with the factory Aprilia team. They were running the Aprilia team with all that resources. Aprilia then pulled out, went their own way, and they made the very wise decision to go the Ducati route with the Gresini team. So yeah, big round of applause to Nadia and the whole team. I could tell you now that I was lucky enough to spend a bit of time with the team last year in their hospitality, and it really does have that family vibe. You walk in there, from the chefs to all the other staff to the mechanics, everyone's smiling, everyone's happy, everyone greets you, and it's just a great family atmosphere. And it's no wonder that Enea Bastianini did what he did last season, because they created that family vibe. Gresini is a family team. It's a nurturing team. And I think it's a team that Alex Marquez is going to thrive in. They made the signing of the season last year. There's no doubt about that with Enea Bastianini. I didn't think coming from Moto2 into MotoGP he was going to do anything spectacular. Certainly what he's done. But last year and the year before, he's proved his talent going into the factory team. But I think Gresini Ducati were a big part of that. I think that nurturing kind of family environment really helped a rider like Enea Bastianini to gain his confidence and get the motivation to go. If you look what they did for Di Giannantonio as well, he had great spells last year. So I think that's going to play into Alex Marquez's favor. Touching on the launch, wasn't the most spectacular launch ever. It was hosted by Matt Roberts, but unveiled their teams, their Moto2 team, their Moto E team. The Moto E bikes look really good. That new Ducati Moto E bike, really excited to see that in action this season. Everyone that's ridden the bike, Piero, the test rider for Ducati, has said this Moto E bike is not far off the pace of the MotoGP bikes. Of course, the biggest handbrake in Moto E is going to be the riders. No disrespect to them, but they're nowhere near on the caliber as MotoGP riders. But I'm excited to see this new reign in the Moto E with the Ducati Moto E bikes. So again, Gresini not only focusing on MotoGP, they've got the Moto2 team and they've got the Moto E team. So again, big round of applause to Nadia and the whole Gresini team. Looking at the new livery in the MotoGP class, when they launched their livery last year, I kind of went, that's gross. That just doesn't do it for me. That, like, whatever kind of lighty, bluey, whatever kind of color you want to call it, just didn't do it for me. It really didn't. And, I was hammering it at every chance until I got to the first MotoGP race that I attended last year, which was the Argentinian round. Looked at that color in the flesh, and the whole team set up with the trucks and that. I only saw that in the European rounds, and I just fell in love. To me, it was one of the best looking outfits on the grid last year. And I kind of had the same feeling now when they launched the new livery. It's kind of still that same kind of pearly, light blue, whatever, but they've thrown a lot more red into it, which obviously red for the Ducati. I'm sure they're getting a little bit more support from Ducati after the fantastic season they had in 2022. And I'm still not 100% sold on it. I still look at it and think, Nah, there's just too many different color variants. They've got it's a bit of yellow branding, but anyway, I know I'm going to hopefully rock up to the Portimao, the first round of the season. Hopefully I'll be there, and I'm going to look at it, and I'm just going to stand there drooling over their bikes. So yeah, I wasn't completely blown away by it. I certainly do not enjoy Alex Marquez's number 73 on the front of that bike, that like white number. I don't think it's the greatest font logo. Yeah, they could have done a little bit more there for Alex Marquez, but that's just me being very picky in that. But let's look at Alex Marquez. And I spoke in the last episode about how Franco Morbidelli, it's probably the biggest season in MotoGP for him. Same can be said for Alex Marquez, because let's be honest, he's just done nothing. He's a two-time world champion, Moto3, Moto2. Some people think he's a lot lucky for getting those world titles. I'll put my hand up and say I am probably one of those people that he never really blew me away with his talent. Marc Marquez always said, yeah, he's faster than me. He hasn't really proved it. And I've been very hard on Alex Marquez throughout his career. I mean, he had that 100 years, it felt like, in Moto2, and he eventually beat our very own Brad Binder to the title there in 2019. Went into MotoGP in 2020 as a factory Repsol Honda rider. Now, this is what you've got to remember. He's, 3 years so far in the MotoGP paddock, has been as a factory Honda rider. And Honda have been the bike to beat, okay, up until now. I think Alex Marquez was unlucky that he came into MotoGP on a Honda that wasn't anywhere near where it should be, and it just highlighted that Marc Marquez was winning more so than the Honda winning, if you know what I mean. But he's had his 3 seasons in the MotoGP paddock as a factory Honda rider. His first season on the Repsol bike, 14th in the World Championship. That's just not good enough. 2 podiums, if you think of the likes of Brad Binder, Jorge Martin, all these rookies that have come in and won races in their first year. Alex Marquez still nowhere near really winning his first race. He had that brilliant podium in second place, but he hasn't won a race, and it's very disturbing. He backed that up with a 16th in the World Championship the year after in 2021 on the LCR Honda, and then last year 17th in the world title. So it's just been, he hasn't proved his worth in MotoGP. I think it's safe to say. And like I said, I've been one of those hardcore guys going on at him. He's not good enough for MotoGP. That was standing from the outside. Last year, lucky enough to go to 13 MotoGP races, stand trackside. And I can tell you, watching him, the man can ride a motorbike. He's a 2-time world champion. He knows how to ride a motorbike. He belongs in MotoGP, but he has to prove it. Like I said, I watched him, and he really, they're all just ridiculously fast. He's just missing something. Now, what I think he's missing is, he went into that Honda team, obviously under this cloud of Marc Marquez and Honda. You've got to do what your brother did on that bike. Your brother says you're the better brother, blah, 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 blah. And it was just too much for him. I think Marc Marquez is a mentally stronger person than Alex Marquez. I think Alex didn't really get the nurturing kind of love that he needed from Honda. Honda are very bang, 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 bang. I don't think Alberto Puig is the kind of manager that also puts her arm around the riders and nurtures them and looks after them. So I just think he was battered. I think he just sat in the corner, tried to do the job to the best of his ability, and didn't really express himself at all. And this is where I think it's going to change in the Gresini Ducati team. Since the deal was announced, I have said, watch out for Alex Marquez. I could be horribly wrong, and he could go out and not do anything again. And if he does that, surely, no matter that it's Alex Marquez, Marc Marquez's brother, and he's got the Australia Galicia money, surely he can't keep his ride in MotoGP. But I think in that nurturing Gresini Ducati environment, on a Ducati, the Gresini team just hugging him, kissing him, loving him, pretty much the number 1 rider in that team ahead of Di Giannantonio. I think he's going to thrive. I really do. I could be wrong, but I think we're going to see a different Alex Marquez this season. I think it's been a clever exercise by the whole Marc Marquez, or the whole Marquez family. I should say they've changed up things dramatically. They've got rid of Emilio Alzamora. They've got a new manager. I think they've almost sent Alex Marquez on a scouting mission with Ducati, because Marc Marquez, Honda are just, they've just hired Ken Kawachi, I never know how to pronounce his name, but from Suzuki, that top mind from Suzuki into Honda. They've changed from SC Projects to Akrapovic, they're making a lot of changes in Honda. And I think this is a good exercise for Alex Marquez, for Marc Marquez as well. Right, Alex, go on the Ducati. and, just be an insider there for me. Just gather inside information. Why not? We know how close the two brothers are. We know that Mark has pretty much come out and said, if I don't get a Honda package that competes this year, because his career has been cut short by the injury and he knows he's got to be competitive now, let's go see how Alex Marquez does on that Honda. For Alex Marquez's career, it's also better. They would have said, listen, you're going nowhere on this Honda. You don't want to develop a bike. You need to climb on a bike that's ready to go fast and be competitive. And that's what Alex Marquez, I think, is going to do this season. So I'm really excited to see the prospect of Alex Marquez, not only on a Ducati, but in that better environment for him, which is the Gresini Ducati team. So watch out for Alex Marquez. I think he could be a bit of an underdog. I'm not saying he's going to go win races and podium week in, week out. I think he'll certainly be challenging for the top 6 more regularly, certainly in the top 10 more regularly. And like I said, if he isn't, well, then it's time to look at it and go, right, you've had your chance in MotoGP. You still haven't won. You're not producing the goods. Other rookies are coming. There's other names to come. Could that be the end of Alex Marquez? Although I say that, but how many are coming with €1 million sponsors that Alex Marquez comes with Estrella Galicia, which we do see on the Gresini Ducati bike. But hey, you know what? Great career move, and I'm excited at the prospect of Alex Marquez, who says he is kind of starting from a clean slate and he is ready to attack this season. So yeah, he's 100% ready, and yeah, I'm excited. Fabio Di Giannantonio is his teammate, and the first thing I noticed at the launch is no Red Bull branding for Fabio Di Giannantonio, which is, I'm just used to seeing him with Red Bull branding. He's been a Red Bull athlete since he's been in the paddock, pretty much. I think Red Bull are cutting back on a lot of athletes. I see Philip Salac, who's also in the Moto2 team, no Red Bull branding on there. Apparently, the Ducati MotoGP team that's launching tomorrow, Monday, will be sponsored by the Monster Energy. I think that sponsorship going from Suzuki over onto Ducati, which means Enea Bastianini had to give up a very big deal with Red Bull to go as a Monster athlete, being part of the factory Ducati team. So I think Red Bull are cutting riders left, right and centre and focusing more on their main athletes, the Marc Marquez's, the Brad Binders, the Jack Millers, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, no Red Bull branding on Fabio Di Giannantonio's helmet for this season. It was an up and down season for Fabio last year. He said it himself. He had that pole position at Mugello, and he really surprised me. He was another rider that I didn't think was quite up to the standard of MotoGP, and he had a couple of really great rides last year. But from that pole position at Mugello, it just seemed to go downhill, unfortunately, for Fabio Di Giannantonio. He came out saying that he's not having fun. He's really struggling mentally to cope with it and to find the excitement, to find the motivation to go again. And that was a bit worrying. It was almost a call for help from Fabio Di Giannantonio. It really was. I think a little bit of depression was creeping in, because at this level, when you are, you're the fastest rider in the world to yourself. But when you're going out there in Mugello, I'm the man, and then, MotoGP is so grueling and so cutthroat that literally a week later you could be in 17th, 18th place. And that was getting to Di Giannantonio. So I hope that he's gone out and sought a little bit of help. I hope he's got a sports psychologist. I know he said he never thought about quitting. He has recharged, and he likes the more red in the team because it's for determination, fire, and I'm eager to continue growing and do well. And so I just hope he has managed to find that help, just mentally, to give him that confidence to go at it again. Because again, this is going to be a big season for him. He's got to prove his worth, because that is a proper Ducati ride that he's on, and a lot of people will be looking at that ride potentially, not only coming from Moto2 but within the MotoGP paddock at the moment. If he doesn't produce the goods, or Alex Marquez, those are two prime seats in the MotoGP paddock. So let's see what Fabio Di Giannantonio can do. Another big point for Fabio Di Giannantonio is he's got Frankie Carcetti, who was the championship winning crew chief to Joan Mir in the Suzuki team. He's come over to the Gresini Ducati team to be in the corner of Fabio Di Giannantonio. So that could really, really help Fabio as well. I think Frankie Carcetti, you know him from Airways Ducati when he was with Leon Haslam and Gregorio Oliveira all those years back. But I think he's also very much a nurturing kind of crew chief. I think he listens. I don't think he just throws information down riders' throats. If what I've seen from him in the paddock and on the different shows that have come out, he looks very nurturing. So again, I think that's going to be a big key point for Fabio Di Giannantonio for the 2023 season. So that's it. Gresini Ducati. big question mark still on the livery for me, but I know I'm going to rock up to Portimao and just drool and try and steal as many parts off that bike as I possibly can, because it's going to look absolutely fantastic, and land up buying a cap, a jersey, and everything because of the MotoGP nut I am. So yeah, pictures don't really do it justice, but I know I'm going to rock up to that race and absolutely love it. And watch out for Gresini Ducati again. It's a big question mark as well. Can they replicate the massive success they had in 2022? I think it's going to be hard, because they had the strength that was Enea Bastianini and his crew chief that have since moved on. But Alex Marquez has got some big shoes to fill, and if he doesn't fill them now, that could in many ways spell the end for Alex Marquez in the MotoGP paddock. So I hope you enjoyed this episode of Talking MotoGP. Factory Ducati is up next, launching on Monday. Can't wait to see that. We know that Bagnaia, it's been leaked that he will be running the number 1 plate with a little 63 in the corner of that. Monster Energy branding on that. So keen to see those new colors launch, and of course Enea Bastianini in that team. So that'll be the next episode of Talking MotoGP. Stay tuned. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, check out our Facebook page, and stay up to date with everything happening in the world of motorcycling, MotoGP, World Superbikes, BSB, just everything to do with the greatest sport on the planet.